Well, we all want our loved ones to be safe and well taken care of. And when they need a nursing home, it's important to find the best facility for their needs.
And Steve Watrel is an attorney and advocate for Florida's senior citizens. And you've been testing our knowledge and finding the right nursing home. And today we're focusing on nursing home tours. So what do you want the viewing audience, and us as well, to know about the importance of going in and touring a nursing home?
Well, there's really three parts to touring. The first is knowing when to tour. Second is knowing the right questions to ask. And third is knowing what to do if you're asked to sign an arbitration agreement.
Yeah, these are important things you need to know before going.
Correct. And last week we talked about, you need to do your research before you go.
Sure.
And we talked about the Medicare.gov Nursing Home Compare website and then the Agency for Healthcare Administration's Florida Health Finder. You're going to want to do that well in advance.
So how do you suggest that one could go about finding the best times to tour different facilities and knowing what questions to ask? Can you give us some advice on that?
Sure. I think what's important is knowing what is the proper time. And we always recommend the first tour take place on a weekday meal like lunch. And we recommend that you tour with one of the department heads, preferably the nursing home administrator or the director of nursing, because they know how to answer all of your questions. And as you tour, you're going to want to look for certain things. And the first is, how does the facility smell and what is the overall cleanliness of the facility? You're going to want to look at how many call lights or bells are either lit or ringing, because if you go through and there's a lot of call lights lit, that's not a good sign. You want to see if the residents are dressed and groomed. That's another sign as well. You want to see if the residents are in their room doing their normal activities, or are they lined up in wheelchairs in the hallway. You're going to want to look at, most importantly, are they helping feed the residents, because many residents need help with feeding. And also, you're going to want to get a general idea of how much staff is in this facility, not the administration, but the nursing staff, because if you don't see many nurses around, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Staff to patient ratio is a pretty important thing.
Should we be going once? I mean, you're scheduling a visit, but should you think about going multiple times? I mean, one day it might be great, but the next it might not be so good.
Yes. What we recommend is you do a second unannounced visit during a weekend meal. Preferably like a Saturday dinner. And you can kind of ask about this during your first tour. For example, can I come back on a weekend? And they usually have no problem with it. The reason you want to come back during a weekend is the administration is off, and sometimes the nursing staff will call off sick and they're not replaced. And this will kind of give you a good idea of what that nursing home is like at night and on the weekends. And candidly, that's mostly when we see the problems when I get involved in cases.
So Steve, when we're interacting with these staff people on our tour of the facility, there are some questions that you should say are really important that should be addressed.
Correct. Well, the first one is the most obvious. How much is covered by Medicare and Medicaid? You don't want to get a surprise bill the first month. You want to know what special services are offered for your loved one, for example, if there's an Alzheimer's patient. You want to know what activities are offered as well. I mean, movies and a popcorn, really, that's not sufficient. You want to have some type of interaction. You want to know the nurse to patient ratio. You would like to see 1 nurse to 5 patients during the day shift, 1 to 10 in the afternoon or evening, and 1 to 15 at night. Less than that could have some real problems. And an important question to ask is, how did you do on your last state survey? And you'll know that from your research from the websites we talked about. And what have you done to fix those deficiencies? And they should have good answers for you. If they're kind of hesitant to answer those questions, that's sort of a bad sign.
Yeah, warning sign, absolutely.
Correct.
And then what about signing anything? If someone asks you to sign something when you come in the door, you should be a little weary of that, right?
Correct. I think it's important to tour each facility and get the admission packet, we call it. In that admission packet is the contract, any arbitration agreements, the charges, the names of all the staff people. Get that and bring it home and kind of read through it, because you don't want to be signing at the last minute, because they'll try to slip an arbitration agreement in there. And really what that is, it's an agreement to waive your right to go to court if your loved one is abused or neglected. And what's concerning about it is that there's no right to appeal. So if you're not happy with the outcome, there's nothing you can do. They get to pick the venue of where you arbitrate. You have no choice of it. And it's usually an industry group. And you have to pay 1/2 of the cost of it. A lot of people don't understand that. It averages currently $25,000 to $50,000 for your share. So what we tell people is you're not legally required to sign an arbitration agreement. You can simply cross it out and just put declined or refused. And most nursing homes won't even really think twice about it. So that's what we recommend folks do because it's very one-sided.
Well, Steve, really quick because we got to go.
Sure.
Those 3 steps again, 3 important things to remember when touring.
Well, I mean, you want to know, again, the questions to ask, the time, and then obviously you want to deal with the arbitration part of it because it's extremely important if an issue arises later. A lot of people are shocked with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight and perspective.
Sure
Thank
do.
you.
We'd like to thank Steve Watrel for sponsoring this segment. If you've got any questions for him, visit his website. It's stevewatrel.com. You can submit them there, and he'll be sure to answer those when he comes on next week. You can also set up a free consultation on his website or give him a call, 904-723-0030. And remember, you can download the nursing home guide. He's talked about that in previous times that he's been on. You can download that for free on his website as well. Helpful for your research.